Okay, fellow Duel Links fans, as of 4.1, we have new mini box leaks. It's called Spirit of the Beast, a new mini box. I'm super excited. I want to talk about all these cards. I want to start doing videos like this where I sort of cover news that's come up, and this has a lot of pretty poggers cards and combos in it, so I want to get into it. Let's start off with the cover art of the box. The Ritual Beasts, the new Ritual Beast cards. These are the fusions that I'll be covering. We have Ritual Beast Ulti Apelio. Requires one Ritual Beast Tamer monster and one Spiritual Beast monster. Must be special summoned from the extra deck by banishing those materials that you control. So it can't be from the hand, they need to be on the field. And cannot be special summoned by other ways. You do not use polymerization. So it's like a contact fusion. If this card attacks, it is unaffected by other cards' effects until the end of the damage step. During either player's turn, you can return this card you control to the extra deck, then target two of your banished monsters, one Ritual Beast Tamer and a Spiritual Beast monster, so your materials that you use to summon it, and special summon them in defense position. Now I believe this can be used during the battle phase, it can be used the turn that it gets summoned, it can be used on your opponent's turn, it's very flexible. And that'll lead to some very interesting combos that we'll get to later. The next one is the Ritual Beast Ulti Canahawk must be special summoned from your extra deck by banishing the above materials you control. So they all have that in common. You can target two of your banished Ritual Beast cards, return them to the graveyard, and if you do, add one Ritual Beast card from your deck to your hand. So it's a good searcher, and it brings those materials back onto your grave. And during either player's turn, it has the same effect. You can special summon the materials in defense position during either player's turn. The last Ritual Beast we have, the third and final, is Ritual Beast Ulti Petalfin. Must be special summoned from your extra deck by banishing, so it's got the same banishing effect. It's got the same special summoning the materials effect. This one's only defining feature is it can't be destroyed by card effects. So I've done a bit of a summary here. So what do they all have in common? Well, let's just go through it, just to be clear. Contact summoning by banishing the materials. They can special summon its materials back into defense position on the field by sending itself back to the extra deck. Apelio is unaffected by card effects when attacking. Canahawk can return two banished materials, one Tame, one Spiritual Beast, so its materials, to the graveyard and then search a Ritual Beast card from your deck. And Petalfin cannot be destroyed by card effects, it's more of a wall with very high defense. So let's have a look at what these fusions actually require. They require one Ritual Beast Tamer monster and one Spiritual Beast monster. Let's start with the Ritual Beast Tamer monsters. Now we have Elder here, and before I get started, a feature of all these Ritual and Spiritual Beasts, I believe, is they can only be special summoned once per turn. So there's no sort of constant looping of combos. It sort of stops that with its own card text. So let's start with Ritual Beast Tamer Elder. What Elder will allow you to do is conduct another normal summon if this is on the field. So you normal summon this, you can conduct another normal summon. So you can start to see how you can get those two monsters you need on the field for your fusions, your contact fusions. And there's you can only special summon Ritual Beast Tamer Elders once per turn. They all have that effect for themselves. Going on to Tamer Winder. If this card in your owner's possession is destroyed by battle or by card effect, special summon one Ritual Beast monster from your deck or extra deck, so this is including the fusions, ignoring its summoning conditions. You can only special summon Ritual Beast Tamer once per turn. This card is incredible. This is one of the ultra rares for the box. And it's definitely worthy of the ultra rarity because it's an incredible effect. It gets around the sort of very specific requirements for the fusions. Moving on to Ritual Beast Tamer Wen. Tamer Wen, if this card is normal summoned, you can target one of your banished Ritual Beast monsters, special summon it. You can only special summon one per turn. So that can bring back some of your banished materials that you would have banished to summon a fusion. It can sort of extend your plays a little bit. Or if you can't access those materials and you don't have any other way to fuse, you need Tamer Wen. Now, Tamer Lara, When this card is normal summon, you can target one Ritual Beast in the graveyard, special summon it. This can also happen. I would say it's less often since they get banished initially for the fusion, and it's less likely they'll be in the graveyard in an ideal situation, so Lara might not come up as often, but it's there. So the second half of the requirement is the Spiritual Beasts. Now, one thing I do want to note is that we have our Ritual Beast Tamers and our Spiritual Beasts. Now, Spiritual Beast Tamer Winder is both a Ritual Beast Tamer and a Spiritual Beast. It can fulfill either side of the requirement. It can be a Ritual Beast Tamer when you want it to be. It can be a Spiritual Beast when you want it to be. It's pretty incredible. And its effect is amazing. So, that's definitely a worthy ultra rare. We'll move on to Spiritual Beasts. We have Spiritual Beast Canahawk. Once per turn, you can banish a Ritual Beast card from your deck, face up, during a second standby phase after this effect's activation. So you need to wait a long time. Add the card banished by this effect to your hand. You can only special summon one Canahawk per turn. So this is not that great. It's a very delayed search. There's obviously the Fusion who can search quicker and better than this can. It's very delayed. There's some cards already in the game that can search quicker than this. Gold Sark is what I'm thinking of. It's just a much slower Gold Sark is what I read that card to be. You're more just probably running it as generic material to get your fusions out if you so happen to choose to do that. We have Rampengu. Once per turn, you can banish a Ritual Beast monster from your extra deck. Send one Ritual Beast monster with the same type as that monster from your deck to your graveyard. You can only special summon Ritual Beast Rampengu once per turn. Again, I don't think that this is that great. I don't see any way to sort of make combos out of this. There might be some cards that synergize, but I don't think they're going to be the most effective combos with this archetype. You're mainly going to be running some of these cards as like garnets for what they are, not so much what they do. So next we have Spiritual Beast Petalfin. Arguably, I would say the best Spiritual Beast, and the one that you'll be wanting to run as a 3 of. Once per turn, you can banish one Ritual Beast card from your hand, then target one card your opponent controls, return it to the hand. You can special summon Spiritual Beast Petalfin once per turn. So this is where we start leaning into what I think the deck is supposed to be doing. It's supposed to be an OTK deck. There are some other cards and combos that sort of suggest that down the line, but this lets you clear your opponent's field, or at least make it easier to clear the field. And I just think it's the best option as far as Spiritual Beasts go. The only other one that we have, and the very last one, is Spiritual Beast Apelio. Once per turn during either player's turn, you can banish one Ritual Beast card from your graveyard. For the rest of the turn, all Ritual Beast monsters you control gain 500 attack and defense. You can only special summon an Apelio once per turn. So that can help with some OTKs. Although I don't think it's going to come up that much. Like the attack boost, obviously if you're trying to OTK, you want that attack boost. It could be relevant. But this is far more relevant. I would say in terms of best to worst, as far as Spiritual Beast, it'd probably be a 1, 2, 3, and then 4. I would say Rampengu is the least good. You could make an argument between these two. Maybe you want to switch them, but this is clearly the best in my opinion. Let's move on. So lastly, we have the Ritual Beast Spell and Trap lineup. There's not too much, there's just 3. We have Ritual Beast Ambush. Target one of your Ritual Beast Tamer monsters and one of your Spiritual Beast monsters that are banished and or in the graveyard. Special summon them in defense position. After this card is activated, you cannot special summon monsters except Ritual Beast monsters for the rest of the turn. You can only activate one Ritual Beast Ambush per turn. We have Ritual Beast Return. Banish one Ritual Beast monster from your hand. Then target one Ritual Beast monster that is banished or is in your graveyard and special summon it. And then we have Ritual Beast Bond. Banish 2 Ritual Beast monsters. Special summon one Ritual Beast monster from your extra deck, ignoring its summoning conditions. So we have a second ignoring its summoning conditions effect in this archetype, and it's super good for the OTKs. I think Bond is going to be a key card in it, and it's I show it in some combos I've got lined up. So let's go over a little bit about these spells and traps. They offer various forms of recovery and combo extension. Ambush special summons to banish materials and defense. Return banishes a ritual beast and special summons a ritual beast that is banished or in the graveyard. Bond special summons a ritual beast monster from your extra deck using materials you control. These are amazing quick play spells, by the way. And because they're quick play spells, that can be used in the battle phase. So you can kind of see how this OTK is forming with these cards. So lastly, I want to talk about some combos. These are just a few combos I've come up with, having a look at these cards, what they do, their effects. I mentioned Gold Sark earlier. The first combo I have is to do with Gold Sark and Ritual Beast Tamer. When you use Gold Sark to banish a Spiritual Beast monster, then you normal summon your Ritual Beast Tamer. When take that banished monster, play it on the field, and you have your contact fusion straight away. Say you use a Petalfin, you banish the Petalfin and summon it. You can also, if it's not the first turn of the duel, if you're going second, you then banish a monster to banish one of theirs. Then from there, you use your contact and go into Ulti Apelio. Another combo I thought of, Ritual Beast Tamer Elder, using its extra normal summon effect. You use that to summon your Petalfin. And now you have a Ritual Beast Tamer Elder. You have a Spiritual Beast Petalfin. You can also go into Apelio. And this is where sort of Apelio comes in with the Ritual Beast bond. You attack with your Apelio. That might clear a monster. If they had two monsters, you cleared a monster with your Petalfin as well. You then use Ulti Apelio's effect. Special summon your banished materials. You have your Ritual Beast bond in hand. You then use that to bring Apelio back, and then you attack again. So you kind of see how this could output a lot of damage very quickly. This one's a little bit more complicated, but I think it's still pretty strong. Winder, an incredible card. Say if you're going first, you don't want to OTK when you're going first, you can't. You set your Winder. If they attack into that, it doesn't matter if it's getting destroyed by battle or by card effect. So if it gets destroyed by any way, as long as it doesn't get banished, you can special summon a fusion from your extra deck, Ritual Beast Ulti Apelio. Now it's your turn. You can go Tamer Lara because this is in your graveyard now. You can special summon your Tamer Winder. Since Winder can either be a Tamer or a Ritual Beast, that'll give you another Ritual Beast fusion. You could go into another Apelio. You could also go into Canahawk if you want to search out a card. You might want to, at this point, since you've got two rituals on the field, you could contact this out, your special summon. You could use this to search for your Ritual Beast bond, and that could give you an OTK on that turn. So it's a strong going second. It's also okay. It's maybe even stronger going first with this Winder combo. So I'm actually super excited for this archetype. There's probably even more combos that I'm not thinking of. I would say this is probably the strongest, just because it also gives you that search. It gives you two rituals on the field rather than just the one that's being recycled. This will give you two, and one of them is being recycled. It's more damage output. So I'm excited. Let's move on to some of the other cards that we've gotten. So let's move on to Yosenjus, which is I would say, second most supported archetype in this new mini box. So the Yosenjus are very similar to Ritual Beasts, as far as I can tell, in that they want to OTK their opponent. They go about it in a bit of a different way. So we have Yosenju Karma 2 and 3, Yosenju Isna, Yosenju Sujik, Yosenju Kodam, Yosenju Magat, and Yosenju Oyam. So let's get into what these effects are. We can zoom to this. If this card is normal summoned, you can immediately after this effect resolves, normal summon one Yosenju monster from your hand. So you can see it's similar to that Ritual Beast Elder, in that it grants you extra normal summons. It's very similar in that way. This card can attack your opponent directly, but when it does, using this effect, the battle damage inflicted is halved. And all these monsters, by the way, also have the Spirit Monster effect, where they return to their hand when they were normal summoned, except without actually being a Spirit Monster. So moving on to number 3. If this card is normal summon, you can immediately after this effect resolves, normal summon one Yosenjus monster from your hand, except Yosenju Karma 3, so it accepts itself. And that's the same with number 2. When another Yosenju monster you control inflicts battle damage to your opponent, you can add one Yosenju card from your deck to your hand, except Yosenju Karma 3. You can only use the effect of Yosenju Karma 3 once per turn, and during the end phase, bounce it back to the hand. So you can see these are going to summon en masse. They're going to hit very hard. Next up is Yosenju Isna. Once per turn during the end phase, if it was normal summon, return it to the hand. Spirit Monster effect. This has 2 effects that you can only activate once per turn, but you can use both of them in one turn. You can discard this card this turn. Your opponent cannot activate cards or effects when your Yosenju monster is normal or special summoned. So what does that mean as far as Duel Links goes? This is a anti-floodgate card, so it's stopping you. It's stopping them from stopping you from attacking with your monsters. I think it's a little bit situational. If your Yosenjus become meta, they wouldn't run floodgate anyway, because they know that your Yosenjus have a counter for it. If you control another Yosenju monster, you can draw 1 card. So that's if it's on the field, I believe. And that can sort of set you up for following turns, but I'm not sure how well it would work on the first sort of turn you want to go in. I don't think that this could OTK in 1 turn. I think it would take sort of a couple of turns in a typical game. So it could still be handy that draw 1 card for the following follow-ups. We have Yosenju Tsujik. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. Tsujik. During the end phase, return it to the hand. You can only activate use each of these effects of Yosenju Tsujik once per turn. During either player's damage step, when a Yosenju monster you control battles an opponent's monster, you can discard this card. That monster gains 1,000 attack. If this is on the field, you can give 1,000 attack to another Yosenju monster you control. So it's an 1,000 attack boost. It's helping your OTK if you get it on the field. I guess you could go Yosenju 2 into Yosenju 3 into Tsujik, and that'll give you a lot of attack on board. Next up we have Yosenju Kodam, which at face value seems a little bit slow, and I don't think it's going to have a place. You contribute this card, target 1 Yosenju training grounds you control, place 3 Yosen counters on it. You can only use the effect of Yosenju Kodam once per turn. You can banish this card from your graveyard, normal summon a Yosenju during your main phase this turn, in addition to your normal summon set. So if the field spell, which I believe the training grounds is important to the strategy, then you'll want to use Kodam, but I don't think it is. That said, it wouldn't hurt, would it? It wouldn't hurt to have a Kodam in hand, since it'll still be triggering that first Yosenju's normal summon, which triggers all the rest. So if you have it in hand, it wouldn't be the worst thing. We'll have to have a look at the field spell. We have Yosenju Magat. If this card is normal summon, you can special summon your 1 Yosenju monster from your deck, except Magat. During the end phase, return it to the hand. If this was special summon, return it to the hand. I'm not sure if... Yeah, because it's a tribute, and I think even if this gets normal summoned, you'll have to tribute the... Yeah. I'll get into sort of combos with that, but its interaction with, say, 2 or 3 is if you decide to normal summon this, you'll still have to tribute off the 2 or the 3. Not that that's bad, because it special summons from the deck. Even though it's a tribute, I can still see it being played in the deck, because it special summons from the deck, and that effect is very good. We have Yosenju Oyam, which has a lot of card text. Let's have a look. When an opponent's monster declares a direct attack, you can send 1 Yosenju monster from your hand to the graveyard, except Yosenju Oyam. Special summon this card from your hand. You can only use this effect of Yosenju Oyam once per turn. At the start of the damage step, if this card battles an opponent's face-up attack monster, So whether they attack it or you attack them, you can make this card's attack and defense become equal to the original attack of the monster it is battling until the end of this turn. When this card is a show by battle and sent to the graveyard, you can add one Yosenjus card from your deck to your hand. It seems a little bit too defensive. I'm not going to lie, it seems a little bit too defensive. That said, these all, I can see it also having a place, despite it being a little bit convoluted. The strategy I'm gathering from Yosenjus is you go in, you deal a lot of damage, they all get bounced, you don't have a field by the end of it, so Yosenjus Oyam sort of stalls for you. It can only be activated once, but it stalls for you and then it searches to set up your hand for the following turn. So I think Oyam is actually quite important as well. More important than Magat, I would argue. Just because it's if you're going to run Yosenjus, it's not very likely you're going to have it in one turn, just based on the stats I'm seeing. You'd need at least two, similar to the Ritual Beasts. Although I think the Ritual Beasts have a little bit better OTK potential than the Yosenjus seem to. But let's move on to the spell and trap lineup. This is the Yosenjus secret move. When a spell or trap card or monster effect is activated, where you control at least one Yosenjus card, or face up monsters you control are Yosenjus monsters, negate the activation, and if you do, destroy that card. That's quite good. Not for the initial turn, because it's a trap, you need to set it, but for that follow-up turn, I can see it being very good. That's like Champion's Vigilance, but you just have to have a Yosenjus one card. Yosenjus on the field. I think that's quite good. It's a little bit slow. I don't think it's a guaranteed include, but it's very good at that follow-up turn. That if you go first, well, if you go second, it'll be the fourth turn of the duel where you'll be using that. That second wave. So Yosenjus Training Grounds is not a field spell. It is just a continuous. Each time a Yosenjus monster is normal or special summoned, place one Yosen counter on this card. You can remove any number of Yosen counters from this card. Apply this effect depending on the number of Yosen counters removed. One counter. All Yosenjus monsters you currently control gain 300 attack until the end of this turn, even if it leaves the field. 3 counters. Add one Yosenjus from your deck or graveyard to your hand. That is interesting. I don't think it's good enough to warrant playing. Can you keep removing counters? That'd be busted. I don't think you can keep removing one counter to just keep buffing. If you could, that's strong, but I don't think that's the intent. If that is how it works, that would probably give you your one turn OTK. It would give you enough damage, but I don't think that's how it works. As for the 3 counters, add one Yosenjus from your deck, graveyard to your hand. That, again, it's more set up for the second wave, but we already have some monsters that do that, so I'm not sure if this would see play. I don't think it's the best way of sort of setting it up. I think there's some better ones out there. So we have Yosenjus Wind Worship. If you control 3 or more Yosenjus monster cards with different names, return as many Yosenjus monster cards you control to the hand as possible. Then you can draw until you have 5 cards in your hand. You can only activate one Yosenjus Wind Worship per turn. So that's good if you just sort of commit to attacking directly, and then you want to just bounce their monsters after you've attacked direct. But more often than not, I mean, I guess it's a way of removing monsters that they have on the field, but you're still wide open once. You're still wide open when all your monsters get bounced. They just re-establish on their turn. It's nice, it's a quick play, but you're not going to have it during your opponent's turn in any situation. So, not that great. But maybe it'll be run because there's no other better options. As for like dealing with your opponent's monsters. Lastly, we have Yosenjus Whirlwind. Activate this card by paying 800 life points. Once per turn, if a face-up Yosenju monster you control returns to the hand, except during the damage step, you can target one card your opponent controls, return it to the hand. During the end phase, unless this effect was activated this turn and was not negated, destroy this card. So that's very similar to the quick play spell, but it's, not a quick play, it's a continuous. Again, it's a very similar effect, but this, you need to pay life points to just activate it. And it gets destroyed. I'm not sure about the merits of one or the other. I would say, in general, you would probably want to go for a quick play over the Yosenju, because you need to activate this on your turn and have it on the field, so it could just get cosmicked off before you get the bouncing effects. So if you wanted to go with that strategy, you wouldn't run Yosen Whirlwind. I'm not seeing why you would run this over this if you wanted to go for that bouncing effect. This just seems infinitely better than this. But maybe there's something I'm not seeing. That's just sort of my initial thought on that. And that does it for the spell and trap lineups. Now, as per usual, I do want to get into some combos. So just to show my idea of the combo, 2 and 3, I would say, are mandatory. You can go 3 into 2, I would imagine, or 2 into 3. Either way is fine. You go 2 into 3. From there, if you have the Tsujik in hand, you summon the Tsujik. And then you have your 3 monster lineup. And then you can boost with Tsujik and then swing. Or if you don't have it, but you have a Magat in hand, you then tribute either... Well, what's got lower attack? You tribute your 3 for Magat. And from there, you'd special summon your Tsujik from the deck. Now you've got your 3 monster lineup. It's actually stronger if you have the Magat than it's straight up just Tsujik in hand, because there's more stats on the board. And yeah, you swing in, you deal damage, and the defensive options you've got, there's plenty of back row, but obviously drowning works best if your field is completely gone. Or you could run Wall of D, I would imagine. And you've also got access to your Yosenju Oyam. As your sort of 4th card, these are sort of 3 card combos. But your 4th card can be like a Drowning or Yosenju Oyam. And Yosenju Oyam being a little bit better because it gives you that defense, and it also sets you up for the following turn. So those are sort of what that's sort of what I envision for the deck, and how I see it sort of playing out. There are obviously other options. I didn't really think that this sort of back row is essential for the deck. Maybe Wind Worship, if anything, but I don't really think so. I think this is I think this will be a very common combo, in my opinion. I could be wrong, but that's sort of my take on Yosenjus. So, real quick, there is a major... So, real quick, there's a major trap I overlooked for Yosenjus. It is, if you control no monsters, reveal up to 2 Yosenju monsters with different names in your hand, then target the same number of cards your opponent controls, return them to the hand. You can only activate 1 per turn. That is another amazing defensive option. People can play around the drowning, but they won't expect these, and this is incredible. This is an incredible bounce. All you need to do is reveal those monsters that they already know you have, because they probably got bounced. That's incredible. That gives it a lot more viability than I initially expected. I apologize for not including it. It was fairly obvious part of the box. I just missed it. But damn, that is incredible. I love Yosenju Sword Sting, and I think that's definitely going to be probably a 3 of, at least a 2 of in the deck. So we're reaching the end here, the final sort of 5 cards. We'll start with Crystrons. We have Crystron, and I'm going to butcher these. We have Crystron Impact, and we have Crystron Thistfern, or Thistfern. I would say it's Crystrons. So this card is, you can target one face-up card you control. You cannot special summon monsters from the extra deck for the rest of the turn, except machine-type synchro monsters. Also destroy that card, and if you do, special summon one Crystrons, tune a monster from your deck. You can banish this card from your graveyard, add one Crystrons monster from your deck to your hand, except Crystrons, or Crystrons. You can only use one Crystrons Crystrons effect per turn, and only once that turn. Now, there are some things about this card that make it good, but I had a look at the sort of standard combo that the Crystrons currently run, and it involves running Smyger over this card, because Smyger is similar in every way, except when you banish it from your graveyard, you don't search a monster, you search a spell and trap. Now that comes into play because a key part of the current deck lists is a card called Crystrons Entry, which is good in a number of ways because it can be searchable, granted, but it does seem to be a staple. All the top lists I looked at were running at least one entry. If you were to run this instead, would you really need the search, would be the question. It would all depend on sort of, people who play more Crystrons than I do would know better, but it all comes down to Crystrons versus Smyger. Do you want the backline search, the spell and trap, or do you want the monster effect search for the following turn? I think people are still going to lean towards that spell and trap search over the monster search. One thing I do know is that Crystrons Impact is something that they've been hyped for. Target one of your banished Crystrons monsters, special summon it, and if you do, your opponent... And if your opponent controls any face-up monsters, change their defense to 0. During either player's turn, except this... Where was I? During either player's turn, except the turn this card was sent to the graveyard, when a card effect is activated that targets a Crystrons monster you control, you can banish this card from your graveyard and negate that effect. It's a negate from the grave. It's going to be good. I'm not sure how relevant the first effect will be, and how often you'll have one of those banished Crystrons. But you could. They do get banished. For example, you could use your Smyger, banish it, search for this, and then on your opponent's turn summon it. I think ideally you'd want to summon it on your turn though, just having a look. Not 100%, but I think it's very good. So lastly, there's just a few cards. It's just a bit of generic support. Well, not even support, just some generic cards that I think might be worth noting. There's a bunch left in the box, obviously, that I'm not going to talk about because, yes, it's there, but I don't think it's even worth mentioning, considering I just don't think any of it's going to see any play. But these cards are something. Let's talk about Chemoclops. If this card attacks a face-up monster on the field, at the start of the damage step, destroy that monster. Its defense must also be higher than this card's attack to activate and resolve its effect. Now, why I bring this up at all? Obviously, it's because of Cocytus. It's not targeting it. Its defense is going to be higher than this, so it's going to destroy it. Why it's probably not a staple in every deck, why it'd be more of a tech, I would imagine, if at all. If used at all, it'd be a tech, is because it can just get attacked into. I mean, it's 1400, it's nothing. It's only good when it's attacking a face-up monster. So it's very specific to, I would say, Cocytus. There's not that many situations outside of that where it would be good, but it's something to consider. I wanted to include it for that reason. This is very big. It's got a lot of text. Let's try and make it a little bit bigger. So this is magnet support. If you control a level 4 lower earth rock type monster, you can target one lower. If you control the level 4 or lower earth rock type monster, you can target one level 4 or lower magnet warrior monster in your graveyard, special summon it. You can only use this effect of magnetic field once per turn. Once per turn at the end of the damage step. When an earth rock type monster you control battled an opponent's monster, but the opponent's monster is not destroyed by battle, you can return it. you can return that opponent's monster to the hand. Now, it just says battle, so that's when you attack into it or it attacks one of your monsters. Do I have that right? Yeah, battled. So that's actually very, very good. They will definitely not want to attack into your magnets at all. And it has a really good first effect. So I think this is definitely C play in magnets. It doesn't grant any attack boost to your magnets, but the effect is so good. Especially when you're running your alphas, your gammas, and your betas. They sort of tribute themselves, special summon from the deck, and then with this, you can special summon them back on the field and do it again. I would say this is going to be a staple in magnets, at the very least a 2 of, maybe even 3 to open up with it consistently. That seems like a very good support card for magnets, granted. The best out of these 3 cards for sure. Now I wanted to talk about this, Divine Wind of Mist Valley. Once per turn, if a wind monster you control returns to the hand, except during the damage step, you can special summon a wind from your deck. Just a generic wind support. I don't think it's that great. It's got an okay effect, and that's why I wanted to mention it, but it's just let down by, like, generic wind support. Like, there's no good wind archetype to make this good, or to make it worth it in any deck, or to just see any play, is what I'm trying to say. There's obviously some wind, some Mist Valley support in this box. None of it's good enough to make a deck out of, in my opinion. But maybe in the future, if wind decks ever become a thing, it's like a special summon from the deck. So I consider effects that do that to be okay. You know, there's the Yosenjus card that can do that. And I consider in general cards that can do that to be quite good. But it's just, there's no support to back it up. So it's not that great for that reason. And yeah, so that was my Spirit of the Beast review. I hope you liked it. I tried to go in depth in sort of what matters, in my opinion. Talk about some cool combos that you can do. Especially, I think the main focus is these Ritual Beasts and the Yosenjus, and I'm excited for both of those. There's some other support that is just sort of fluff. It's rude to say that about cards sometimes. Just say, well, it's just fluff cards to boost the box, but none of it is worth noting in my opinion, except for the Yosenjus and the Ritual Beasts. I hope you found this insightful. If you did, leave a like, and I shall see you in the next video. Bye-bye.